1949. It is 4 years since the end of the war, and only months since I stepped foot from the great empire windrush into this land where disdain to those of such a darker hue as mine appears to be rife. Though not here. I am a writer, and I've been fortunate. Branston and Rand book publishers of Camden Town saw advantage in my work, and my first publication was loved and purchased in numbers. And as such, I am already a wealthy man. I had met the bishop of a church at a book convention in Covent Garden, and he seemed overly keen, when I told him of my plight, to invite me over and spend the time that I needed in the quiet of the church's fully furnished vestry, which he thought would make an adequate study.
You're here. Welcome to our humble parish. I hope you had a comfortable journey.
Yes, but for the incessant chatter of the taxi driver. And apart from that, it went smoothly.
Pay them no mind. They seem to think it's as much their job to talk as it is to drive. Was he of good rapport?
Yes, he was perfectly cordial.
I'm sure you'll find the locals warm and hospitable.
He was keen to emphasize that he's not from here.
I'm sure you'll find your stay here both pleasant and fruitful. You'll find no individual approach you in any form of a disconcerting manner.
He was keen to emphasize that as well.
Is that so?
Yeah. He said the people here are bitten by a matter of conscience. Do you know what he meant?
No idea. Did he offer no explanation or reason?
No. Except that if I were to count the tipping of hats of people as I walk by, I should lose my mind.
Yeah, well, here she is. Isn't she splendid? We're celebrating her 200th anniversary next month. She stood here boldly all that time, despite the war, which visited our village, you know. An amazingly sturdy piece of architecture. You know, we used the basement as an air raid shelter and lived to tell the tale, whilst much of the surrounding village was decimated by enemy aircraft.
Amazing.
Oh, yes, we've come to realize the sanctity of human life in this community. I'm so proud to be the defender of their faith. I'm sure you're going to find your stay here both interesting and enlightening, if nothing else.
Please, don't go to any trouble on my account. I'm sure I'll find my way around.
Good then, I'll leave you to discover the wonders of this great building for yourself. Good day.
I had cleverly disguised my foreboding and worry by not revealing all of the words of the taxi driver on my journey in. He spoke to me of unnatural, ghostly occurrences in, of all places, a church. That somehow these grounds were home to a supernatural energy that was of evil intent, seeking a victim upon which to nourish. He had intimated that I should sooner not be here, and that is why he would only agree to bring me within a mile of the village. My mind, body, and spirit was riddled with fear. That is, until she began to speak.
You have nothing to be afraid of. You are a writer.
I am?
In a day that I drew natural breath, I wanted to be like you.
And why didn't you become like me?
Unfortunate circumstances.
That is why you are so sad.
Yes.
I'm listening.
Listening for what?
For you to tell me your story. That is why you've been trying to get my attention.
You would listen to my story?
I wish nothing more. Begin with your name.
My name is Moonflower.
This is how you were christened?
No, my mother affectionately gave me this name.
Go on.
My mother was black. My father died. We lived in this village with the same hope of tranquility as you did.
The villagers hated us, poured scorn onto us wherever we went. They called me a half-monkey on account of my mixed heritage, and my father a nigger lover. I was blessed with good athletic ability and seemed to have to use it at school to either fight or run. Oh yes, I became a very good runner. I was very sad. I begged my mother to take us away from this village, but she was too headstrong and would not be hounded away. Only the bishop, by virtue of his faith, offered us compassion. But he too, on account of this, began to feel ostracized by the wicked community. I would spend my nights at my bedroom window, looking up at the moon, fascinated by its glow. My mother realized that it was within its splendid radiance that I could find a small measure of peace. She christened me her little Moonflower and one day surprised me with a gift of a telescope that I might observe the grandeur of the moon in greater detail. One night I looked up at the moon through my telescope and saw enemy aircraft, a massive fleet of them heading this way. At 3 a.m. in the morning, with my mother asleep, I left the house, as I did not hear the church bells which were used as an air raid siren. I found out from the bishop that it had been damaged and was not working. He panicked, but I told him not to worry. I knew that if I ran, I could get to every door in the village before the planes arrived, and so I did. I beat every door and got every villager out of their beds and directed them here to their safety, where the bishop had been able to greet them. Then I ran back home to get my mother, but we never made it back. We were struck down before we could get to the church.
I am so sorry.
Don't be sorry. Just help me.
How can I help you?
You wanted to know why I am so sad. I am sad because my life was taken too early. I had so much to give. There were so many things I wanted to do. I wanted to help people. I would have been an artist maybe, or a writer just like you. I would have moved people, inspired them to do great things. I wanted to show people how to love and not hate, how to bring union, not discord, and help people recognize that this earth has but one ground upon which we walk. But I was cut down too soon. Too soon before I could make a difference. I always felt like I could make a difference.
Tell me, what it is you think I can do for you.
Sir, can you bring me back to life so that I may meet my calling?
My child, I am so sorry, but I have to be brutally honest. I do not have that power. I am but flesh and blood. I am no god.
I'm sorry. that you cannot help me, for I was led to believe that you could.
What do you mean? I was cut to my heart and could do nothing but consult a faith that I did not have. But regardless, I went into the great church and prayed for the redemption of this lost soul. I had always believed that ghosts were created of people that died in confused circumstances. They would reject the afterlife and seek to come back to the place of their demise, seeking to live again in order to find their peace. I prayed and then sought to leave.
So you met her?
You knew?
I always knew. She's the reason I brought you here. You were the only answer I could find to put an end to this tragedy.
What could I do for this poor child? I am no superhuman.
She didn't tell you everything. She said she wouldn't.
You mean there's more to this nightmare?
I'm afraid so much more. It's the only way I can resolve my conscience.
Speak, man, and be quick about it.
The girl, she saved everyone that night. Everyone. We heard the bombing outside, the nightmarish explosions. But with everyone safely in the crypt, I went up to pray, completely forgetting that she and her mother were not there. As I knelt down, I heard the loud banging on the door. "Let us in! Let us in!" they shouted. "Save us! Please save us!" My natural instinct was to run to the door, but I was held back by my council leader who'd come upstairs to inquire after my safety.
Pull yourself together, man. Tell me what happened.
He grabbed me by the arm. He said I could not help them. It would bring down the wrath of the whole village on my shoulders if I subjected them to sharing the space with these two outcasts.
You left them to die.
I abandoned my faith. In that moment, in that fleeting moment, I abandoned my faith in favor of my own vanity. I abandoned my faith.
You left them to die.
Yes, I left them to die. 1,000 times she has forgiven me, and 1,000 times her words persecute me as if they were spoken today. Yes, I left them to die. And if I didn't know that it would send my soul to eternal damnation, I would have taken my life long ago, for the pain is unbearable. I left them to die. That matter of conscience that the cab driver spoke of. It was the moment when I forced all the villagers to look upon their decimated bodies, lying broken and still amongst the carnage and rubble of the bombing. It was the least I could do. They were buried without headstone, memorial, or plaque. My council could not bear to live with the memory of what we had done to that poor girl and her mother. No one would speak of it. Until now.
Until now? What do you mean?
You are the answer. The answer lies with you.
Stop talking riddles, man. I fail to see how I can do anything for this poor girl.
Damn it, man. You're a writer, can't you see? If you write that story, 1 million people will read that book, and they will pass that book to another 1 million people, and she will be immortalized.
You and your council, you planned this all along.
That day I met you in Covent Garden, I knew you were the one. I entreated my council to allow this to happen. You came here seeking inspiration for your next work. What greater story to tell, that of a young girl who saved 100 people by giving her life. It's what she wanted, to inspire, to ignite the flame of love. I beg of you, write the book. Write the book. Help us all to find peace.
And it shall be so. I will tell the story of this dear child, and in so doing, show men that by her great example we can live without hate, and that we don't have to despise those that are different because we fear the unknown. Men shall learn that we are all equal under the sun, and that our purpose is to love one another. The greatest and most powerful principle to which we mortals can attain, and in so doing ensure that there will be no more wars, no more discord, no more self-serving agendas amongst us, but in an everlasting and eternal peace, a unity of purpose amongst all men, a principle for which that dear child gave her life, a sacrifice that I will ensure was not in vain.